So you guys have done a budget for yourselves, but you started that business. Have you done a budget for that business? I mean, creative people and entrepreneurs are great at coming up with new ideas, but not so great at some of the little details about running a business. Details like making a business budget. Now, if you get excited by stuff like this, more power to you, right? But, some people, they just can't stand it. Whether or not numbers come easily to you, the good news is you can learn the skills you need to make a solid budget and manage those finances of your business with confidence. So, you know, first off, what is a budget? Well, more specifically, what's a business budget? Because it's really not all that different from a regular budget. But a business budget is just a plan for how you're going to spend the money that your business generates. You anticipate what's going to happen in the near future with your expenses, revenue, and profit to decide beforehand what you're even going to do with all that money, right? And you might be asking yourself, why? Why do I even need a budget for my business? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but the most important one is that your business isn't even going to survive if you don't have a business budget. Think I'm being dramatic? All right, get this, right? There are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States. That's a lot. Now, out of all those small businesses that opened from 1994 to 2018, almost 33% of them closed within their first 2 years. And only half of small businesses survived after 5 years. That means if you and a competitor open up shop at the same time, chances are one of you not going to be around in 5 years. Now, if you want to be one of the businesses that sticks around, you got to manage your money well. If you don't have control of your cash flow, you'll spend more than your business is earning, be tempted to take on debt, and have a hard time fulfilling your promises to your customers and team members. Now, the second main reason to create a business budget, peace of mind, right? As a business owner, one of the worst feelings in the world is wondering whether you'll be able to keep your doors open, and money problems are almost always at the heart of that fear. But budgeting is going to help you stay in control, lower your anxiety and stress levels, and make everything good to go. Now, while you can and should budget for each year and each quarter, kind of want to talk about making a monthly budget, right? This is the easiest way to plan in detail without getting too much in the weeds, right? So, the first thing that we're going to talk about how to do this is basically keeping your personal and business budgets separate, right? Two completely different things, right? Things always get messy when you mix your personal funds with your business. Keep it clean. Have separate accounts and budgets for home and work. Have a personal checking account and have a business checking account, right? Two different accounts. Now, when you're going to start budgeting, you might want to look into different tools that's going to help you do this, right? Decide where you're going to keep your budget, right? Maybe there's an app you like, or maybe you're really into Excel files. Whatever works for you. I'm sure you can find free templates online, right? You just download, your copy and fill it out, and, you'll be good to go. And as you scale, you'll probably want to use a small business accounting software. But if you're just starting out, just use what's available for free right now, right? You don't need all these nice fancy things. You're just getting started. We'll get to that later. All right, that's going to move us on to the third thing you need to do, which is to total up your projected monthly revenue. Now, so I want you to ask yourself a question. How much money will my business earn next month? Right? Just like you starting your personal budget with your income, you'll start your business budget with revenue. Your revenue is the money you earn in exchange for, products, services, this stuff you're selling. Now, if your business has been making money for a while, look back at last year to see what you can expect to make this time around. And if you're just starting out, make an educated guess about what you think you're going to earn in the upcoming month, right? So, once you do that, your next task is going to be able to think about all your projected expenses, right? And it's crazy how much money can just slip between the cracks when you're not careful about putting it in the budget. Think through all these expenses, right? Down to the very last thing. Even if it's like paper clips, right? Just everything. Then what you're going to do is we're going to arrange your expenses by category, right? Because now you've got a big list of expenses, and it helps to break them down into categories. Categorizing your budget will keep you from feeling completely overwhelmed by just all the numbers. So one option is to group your expenses into a couple different categories, right? You have fixed costs, right? Those are going to be your predictable items you know you'll need to pay every month, right? Think rent, insurance, subscriptions. Then you have your variable expenses, right? They fluctuate from month to month, like shipping costs, utilities, right? There might be seasonal expenses to consider, like more inventory purchases to gear up for the holidays. And then another one is one time purchases, right? One off expenses, they're going to pop up every now and again. Maybe you need to replace some equipment, or you want to buy a ticket to attend a conference. Look ahead each month to see if you're going to need to set aside some extra money. Now we get to the fun part. We're going to add up your gross profit, all right? This is where a little accounting comes in. Because technically, even though accounting is done on the back end of your expenses, it helps you revisit your spending and make sure you hit the goals that you set for yourself, right? But it's a good idea to plan ahead for how you'll account for every single dollar that you spend in making your business, right? Just hang in for a minute, right? We're gonna do a little bit of math, and I know math isn't everyone's favorite. So you're gonna take your gross revenue, right, the total amount of money you expect to make this month, and subtract the cost of goods sold to find your gross profit. Now, what do we mean by cost of goods sold? You might see this otherwhere as like COGS, COGS, right? Now, these are the expenses directly related to producing your product or your service. So, let's say you're making like monogram baby gifts, right? Your cost of goods sold might include, the thread, the needles, the fabric, the labor required for the product, right? Cost of goods sold does not include indirect costs like rent or insurance, marketing expenses, right? We'll get those a little bit later, right? And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to subtract the rest of your expenses from your gross profit to find your net profit, right? Right? So this is often referred to as your bottom line, right? Total up the rest of your upcoming expenses for the month and subtract that number from your gross profit. That's how we get net profit, right? Your net profit is the actual number that your business makes at the end of the month. You can think of your net profit like a report card. It helps you measure the success of your business. But you can't go on a shopping spree just yet. There's a couple more steps that we need to talk about. The next one, we're going to divide up your profit, right? That net profit. We're gonna divide it up four ways, all right? The first one we're going to do is going to be taxes, right? Because you owe the IRS money, right? Be ready for it. Now, how much you'll owe depends on how much you take, but a good rule of thumb is about 25% is what you're going to set to the side of your net profit, right? Now, you might even want to create a separate bank account to stash your tax money just to make sure you don't overspend. If you haven't already, I would suggest you meet with a tax professional to create a specific plan for your business, right? Right? So the next way we're going to divide it into the second group is going to be your emergency fund and savings. Just like you have one, your business needs one, right? It's just absolutely essential for running a successful business. Think of this as a buffer between you and life, right? Your work laptop, it quits working, emergency fund to replace it, right? Same rules, right? About 3 to 6 months of operating expenses emergency fund, right? And you'll need to save really aggressively early on for this one. Then another category is going to be your upcoming expenses and reinvestment, right? It's another chunk of savings, but with a more specific purpose. If you know you've got a bigger out of the ordinary expense coming up, say like you need to hire a contractor, set aside the money in the months leading up to the purchase, right? And then, of course, paycheck, right? Whatever's left is yours. As a business owner, you're the last to get paid. If you're bringing home a lot of money, great, that's fantastic. If things are tight, and sometimes, most times, they usually are early on, right? You might not be making that much, but hang in there. If you keep applying these budgeting principles that we're talking about, you're going to keep growing your profit, and you're going to start to see the rewards add up real quick. So then another thing that we need to do, right? Review your budget consistently. Because it's one thing to make a plan and another thing to stick to it. After you set your budget for the month, have like every couple of days or once a week check in and make sure you're actually executing on it. right? At the end of the month, go back and see if you went over in one category, didn't spend as much as you thought in another category, right? And adjust those numbers in the next month's budget, right? And last but not least, probably most importantly, don't give up, right? Don't give up. When you're new to budgeting, even if you hate numbers, like this, it can be so frustrating, especially like when you just start budgeting for the first time and you mess up. Ugh, you guess incorrectly. Ugh, right? Or you just screw up altogether, right? Just don't give up. It might take a few months to get everything worked out. So keep trying, keep budgeting, keep coming back, right? It'll be worth it in the end, right? So just remember, guys, just like you need a budget for your life, if you got a business, it needs a budget too. So hopefully this will get you guys thinking about some of the things that you need to do for your business to make it more successful, saving more money, or putting your money to work for you better, right? Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for sticking around. If you liked it, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and hit that sub button. But until I see you guys in the next one, y'all be safe.